press coverage, and he was using his hands at the line of scrimmage, and he was getting after guys. For the Miami Dolphins last year, they were basically bringing guys in August and just throwing them out there at cornerback. Rasul Douglas on one side, Jack Jones on the other side. Neither one of those guys started the training camp with that prospective team. So getting a guy like Delane to be able to put out there and say, hey, we have a new guy out there that can grow and be our cornerback one and lock down a side of the field or lock down a wide receiver will go a long way. I love the Boston part of it because they paid Malik Willis. You have to get more weapons on the outside for him to be able to show what he can do.
Yeah. All right, Kevin Clark, this one is going to move the needle here. The Cleveland Browns have the 6th and the 24. You would give Cleveland an A if they got who in the first round?
Ooh. Carnell Tate, Ohio State guy, local guy. I'm just shouting out a bunch of Ohio State guys.
That's okay.
Probably because they produce NFL talent at a better rate than anybody these days. But Carnell Tate would be a fit with an offense with Shadeur Sanders in the short term. Shadeur Sanders likes to hold on to the ball a long time. Carnell Tate's going to get open downfield. He runs really good routes. He works his way back to the ball. Give me that, then offensive line help in the 20s later in the draft, maybe trade back. But Tate is the pick in the top 10.
All right, speaking of the Browns, their new head coach, Todd Monken, sat down with, Kevin Clark at the league meetings.
Bang.
And he gave him some insight on the Shadeur Sanders situation in Cleveland. Take a listen.
I think you see playmaking ability. I think you see a player that is confident in his skill set. So when you see that playmaking ability and inner confidence, you say, okay, there's something to work with there. So that I think that's the thing that excites you. What you see on tape are those aspects, a very young player that really didn't grow up in a pro-style offense. It's not his fault. It's our job is to develop all the players that show up in the building and try to get the best out of all of them.
That was recorded last week at the league meetings. We also learned that Shadeur has been in the building, in the facility, while Dylan Gabriel is not. And Deshaun Watson was there, and he wasn't, but he's been working out with the receivers. So, Kevin, speaking with Monken, do you think Shadeur Sanders should be the starter in Cleveland coming out of this thing?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't bring anybody else into that room. I would not include Deshaun Watson in this quarterback competition. I think it's a waste of time for everybody as far as what the Browns are trying to build. I also think it's chasing after justifying that decision and trying to make it look better than it actually was. It was the worst trade in NFL history. For Shadeur, I think it should be Dylan Gabriel versus Shadeur in camp. Shadeur wins that competition 100 times out of 100. He has a higher ceiling. He showed better film last year. I just feel like, listen, maybe he's not your franchise guy for the next 10 years, but in 2026, let's see what he can do.
The Cleveland Browns have a problem. And it is not a small problem. It is not a maybe we will figure it out in training camp problem. It is a Deshaun Watson problem. And Kevin Clark just said what every Browns fan has been thinking, but no one has been brave enough to say out loud. He said he would not even include Deshaun Watson in the quarterback competition. He said it is a waste of time for everybody as far as what the Browns are trying to build. And then he dropped the hammer. He said it is chasing after justifying that decision and trying to make it look better than it actually was. It was the worst trade in NFL history. Let me set the scene for you. The Browns have the 6th and the 24th picks in the draft. Todd Monken, their new head coach, sat down with Kevin Clark at the league meetings and talked about Shadeur Sanders. Monken said he sees playmaking ability. He sees a player that is confident in his skill set. He said when you see that playmaking ability and inner confidence, you say, okay, there is something to work with there. That is what excites you. But here is the reality that Kevin Clark is not afraid to say. Shadeur Sanders had a historically bad rookie season. Ben Solak backed this up with the numbers. He said 64th out of 73 pick per dropback. He threw an interception on 4% of his pass attempts. This was a historically bad rookie season. Now, he is a 5th-round pick. The Browns are a terrible team. So it is understandable. But Sanders did not earn his way into a competition. It is just a function of the Browns' quarterback room being as weak as it is. That is why this job is open. Because they need somebody to emerge from a group of really not attractive options. But Kevin Clark is not backing down. He said he would not bring anybody else into that room. He would not include Deshaun Watson in this quarterback competition. He thinks it is a waste of time. And then he said Shadeur versus Dylan Gabriel in camp. Shadeur wins that competition 100 times out of 100. He has a higher ceiling. He showed better film last year. Kevin said, listen, maybe he is not your franchise guy for the next 10 years. But in 2026, let us see what he can do. Give him a tryout. Give him a long runway. Give him that confidence with that playmaking ability. And that confidence that Monken describes, let it shine through. Now let me add some context because this is not just about Shadeur Sanders. This is about the Browns finally admitting they made a mistake. The last time we saw Deshaun Watson in an NFL game was October 20th, 2024. That is 536 days ago. 536 days. And when we saw him, it was not pretty by any stretch. J-Mac said he is not saying you should be handing the job over to Watson. He would start with Shadeur Sanders in pole position and he would be his QB1 starting the off-season program. But he is going to have to earn that and K.E.P. it. If Deshaun Watson comes out there and proves he is the best quarterback in the room, why would not you allow him to go out there and play? That is a fair question. But here is the answer. Because Deshaun Watson is not the same player he was in Houston. The injuries, the time off, the drama, the weight of that contract. He is a shell of himself. And the Browns are still paying him. They are still trying to justify the worst trade in NFL history. And Kevin Clark is saying stop. Just stop. Rip the Band-Aid off. Give the job to Shadeur Sanders. See what you have. If he fails, you draft a quarterback in the 2027 class that everyone says is loaded. Arch Manning. Lena Kaisers. Sam Levitt. Brandon Sorsby. The Browns can survive one more bad season. What they cannot survive is another year of pretending Deshaun Watson is the answer. Because he is not. He was not the day they traded for him. He was not the day they gave him $230 million fully guaranteed. And he is not now after missing 536 days of football. Todd Monken is a great offensive mind. He got the best out of Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. He can develop Shadeur Sanders. But he cannot develop a quarterback who is not on the field. He cannot develop a quarterback who is dealing with the pressure of being the most hated contract in sports. The Browns need to move on. They need to let Shadeur Sanders be the guy. Not because he earned it with his rookie season. He did not. But because he is the only option that gives them a future. Deshaun Watson gives them nothing. Dylan Gabriel is a backup. The 2027 draft is the real target. But in the meantime, let the kid play. Let him learn. Let him fail. Let him grow. That is how you rebuild. That is how you find out if you have something. Kevin Clark is right. Shadeur Sanders should be QB1. Not because he is great. Because the alternative is worse. So here is my question for you. Should the Browns name Shadeur Sanders the starting quarterback right now and move on from Deshaun Watson? Or do they let Watson compete for the job in training camp? Drop your take in the comments. Do you agree with Kevin Clark? Or do you think he is being too harsh on Deshaun Watson? And if you want more honest breakdowns of what is really happening in the NFL draft and off-season, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.